Welcome back to Comics League. Now, back to where I was, what I sort of alluded to in the last video. I want to talk about why Batman's villains specifically are like compelling. Because as you know, any comic book fan knows, Batman and Spider-Man are known for having the best and most memorable rogues gallery. Like when you think of Spider-Man, you think of Green Goblin. You think of Batman, you think of the Joker. And I think the chief reason why is because they're like average people that just had a bad day. And I alluded to this in the last video. And this is a concept from The Killing Joke that I think applies to all of Batman's villains, is that they all are like normal people, regular everyday people you wouldn't think will become serial killers and the like. However, they have one bad day where everything goes against them, and then they just snap like that. I can't snap, but you understand the effect. So the point is that they're regular people that go through these incidents, and then they respond differently. They think about it this way. They have the antithesis effect of Batman, because Batman could have become a criminal as soon as his parents died, but he became a force against crime, where the enemies were the antithesis of such. And also it's been theorized that the Batman villains represent the different personality components of Batman, like the Joker's the chaos of Batman, the Riddler's his intelligence, maybe Two-Face the brutality. I forget exactly what Two-Face represents, but the point is that they all represent a sort of part of Batman. And when you really think about it, he has contributed to the origins of all of these characters to a degree, such as his first encounter with the Joker is actually when the Joker is a regular dude wearing a red hood. He knocked him into a vat of chemicals, and that turned him into a Joker. Then when you add on to, when you go to Two-Face, at least in the Batman Begins origin, it was because Batman would save him instead of Rachel Dawes. I'm not sure exactly if Batman was brought in the comics, but the point is that to a certain degree, Batman has informed the origins of these characters. Next, I think one of the reasons why is because there's so many different kinds of villains. They're not just like, that's to do with the gun, that's to do with the sword. No, because when you have like Deathstroke's a master technician super soldier who uses swords and guns. Mr. Freeze freezes people. Scarecrow scares people with fear. He unleashes fear, and that's another part of Batman. He represents Batman's fear. You know, it's Batman instills fear in his enemies, and the movie did this perfectly. Then when you add on to like the Joker's a clown, everyone's afraid of clowns. Two-Face is literally a dude with two faces because half his face got burned off. And then you add on to the Riddler, who's a dude that just leaves puzzles everywhere because he wants to prove that he's smarter than Batman. He does. It's not. It's really just he wants to stump Batman on a riddle, because Batman. Because the funny thing with the Riddler, he spends all this time coming up with elaborate puzzles, and then Batman solves them instantly. So that's one of the humorous parts of the Riddler. So again, that's part of why I think that Batman's villains are so cool. This can kind of apply to Spider-Man, but it's because Batman's villains are so like different from each other, and that there's like something really for everyone. Bane's a luchador who broke Batman's back in his first intro. That was like in the 90s, I think, Batman Nightfall. So yeah, there's like different types of villains. Each of them have like a relatively unique storyline. A few of them are actually sympathetic, like Mr. Freeze. He just wants to be able to cure his wife of this disease because he froze her to preserve her lifespan because she's basically dying. So he wants to have a cure for her. So really, he's not really that evil. In fact, I think that if Batman would just help him with his wife, he wouldn't be a supervillain anymore. And that's really one of the interesting parts about these guys, that some of them aren't bad guys. Like Man-Bat is just a dude that injected himself with a serum that's supposed to cure deafness and turn him into a bat. So really, it's like they're not. Some of them are really bad guys. Like there's no defending the Joker at all. But Mr. Freeze, I can kind of see as more of a sympathetic bad guy. And I like when they add in a component of sympathy to the characters. And then next, I would say the last real reason why I think Batman's villains are so great is probably because Actually, yeah, it is really because they have unique personalities, unique gangs too. We saw that kind of in the Arkham games, where each gang looked like they belonged in that group. Like Batman, like Joker had a bunch of clowns, Two Face had a bunch of dudes in like two colored suits and stuff. So I really felt like they really that really goes back to their uniqueness. So it's really is that they're all unique. They all represent a part of Batman's persona in a way. And really, you could tell a lot of very fascinating stories with these different characters. And there's a reason why a lot of them have been in the movies, but there's still a lot more that I think should be incorporated into a movie. And I'm glad like the Riddler got his redemption, because he was terrible. Him and Two-Face were terrible in that movie. It was like, oh, this is not good. But then when you get to the Matt Reeves Batman movie, the Riddler is completely redeemed, and I really like that. So anyway, that's going to end it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys for the last video in our Week of the Bat. Best Batman movies. Anyway, stay heroic, everyone. Bye-bye.